Welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 250,000 subscribers. So if you like what you hear, hit subscribe. This isn't the time now to unsubscribe and stay away. This is the time to subscribe, stay subscribed, and share with friends because there's so much going on and so much to unpack. And few people have the inside like I do. Now, I want to talk about the last few days, which have been odd, to say the least, especially in the briefing room at the White House. Biden's press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, she's been dodging these sort of odd comments. Peter Doocy, as an example, senior White House correspondent for Fox News, he's been asking some really super odd questions, and I think what we need to do is we need to discuss them because it tells so much of what's going on, and in fact, what they intend to continue over the course of the next 4 years. Now, Biden and Harris, after the election results, things have been odd. Play the clip.
We know that today, a week after the election, President Biden and Vice President Harris had a private lunch. How awkward was that?
I don't even understand. Why would it be awkward?
Because the president got squeezed out for her, and then she kept him at arm's length, and then she lost, and now she's back.
Why would you characterize it as awkward? They have regular lunches. They meet and talk regularly. Why would you call it awkward?
So there's no weirdness about the way that things have unfolded since
Did you see them? Did you see them together yesterday as well when they honored our veterans and were together during the day, making sure that we didn't forget the brave men and women that fought for this country? Did you see them together yesterday? Did you see the show of force together? This is. I'm not even going to take the premise of the question. What I will say is the president and the vice president had lunch today. They've had lunch many times. They have they communicate with each other regularly. They had an opportunity to discuss the last 70 days or so of this administration, how important it is to get things done for the American people. And that's their focus. That is genuinely their focus.
Let me be very clear about something. Peter Doocy is not a serious journalist. Peter Doocy is playing right now to a party of one, and that one is Donald J. Trump. This is one of the most ridiculous questions I've ever heard a journalist in the briefing room ask a press secretary. In fact, take Karine Jean-Pierre out of this. Take Joe Biden and Kamala Harris out of it. Imagine if that's going to be Alina Habba up there and somebody asks that question to Donald Trump about J.D. Vance, about any of their lunches, communications, and things awkward, yada, yada. What do you think? What do you think the Republicans would turn around and say, especially if let's say it was an MSNBC or a CNN or an ABC or a CBS journalist? What do you think they would do? I'll tell you what they have done in the past with things like that. They actually removed their credentials. They took the credentials of several different journalists who had to go to court in order to get them back. Peter Doocy is playing to a party of one at a time that you don't need to play. Because then he asks another really whacked out type of question. He asks if Biden showed Trump any classified documents during their meeting. It's absurd. Play the clip.
Thanks, Green. Did President Biden show incoming President Trump anything classified?
No.
No. Why not?
Why would he? This was an opportunity for them to speak candidly, openly. I've said to you that it was gracious. It was incredibly substantive. And I'll just leave it there.
You know what makes that question so ridiculous? As president-elect, and even as the Republican nominee, you're entitled to briefings. You get briefings on much of the information. Maybe it's not all of it, but it's certainly a lot. And Peter should have known this. Because then he goes on and he asks if Biden and Trump made plans to play golf. Play that clip.
The last time these two were together in the same room was at the debate. They talked a fair amount about playing golf. Do you know if a plan was made for them to play golf in President Biden's retirement?
Actually, that's not the last time they saw each other. They saw each other at September 11th. I'm going to move on. Go ahead, Ed.
I don't even know why that she would call him to ask a question. I mean, it's ridiculous. You're there in the briefing room and you're asking about their plans to play golf. Don't you really think that there's probably more important questions that need to be asked by other journalists that aren't trying to make a mockery out of this whole thing? Because that's what Peter Doocy's looking to do. He's looking to make a spectacle out of this. Again, all for a party of one. It's absurd. So lastly, another reporter now weirdly asks if Biden apologized to Trump for what was said on the campaign trail. Play that clip.
But a lot was said on the campaign trail, like Trump is a dangerous threat to our country and our democracy. Was there an apology today?
I'm sorry?
Was there an apology from
Apology from
President
whom?
Biden for the words, some of the words used?
An apology from the President Biden.
To President-elect Trump for some of the words that was used on the campaign trail.
Look, and I've answered this a couple of times about a threat to democracy in the past week. The president is going to always feel obligated to be honest with the American people. What he says still stands. And it's not just him. You heard this from former staffers. You've heard it from the former chief of staff, John Kelly, and others. You've heard it directly from the president-elect, the former president, about enemy of the people. Very, very clear. Very clear. What we want to be also very clear about is the importance of listening to the will of the American people. There was an election. It is important to respect our institution. It is important to respect the free and fair elections. And that's what this president is doing, leading by example and putting that aside and putting the American people first. But what he said still stands. And it's not just him. We should not just put this at the president. His own people said this. So I want to be really, really clear about that and not forget the facts. There are facts here that we should certainly also lift up as you're asking me these questions. Go ahead, Anita.
This is another one trying to play to a party of one. You know, I think maybe a fairer question that this journalist could have asked is, did the two men apologize to one another for the vitriolic statements that were made, personal statements made about one another on the campaign trail during the campaign? By the way, that would have been a fair question. Trump himself has turned around and said, listen, these are competitions, these are contests, and sometimes things are said that are relatively harsh, that are very harsh. In fact, if you ask 100 people, and I'm going to ask you, the viewer, who do you think was meaner to who during the course of this entire campaign, starting with Biden, then stepping down, and then Kamala Harris? Was Joe Biden meaner to Trump? Or do you think that Trump, in all fairness, was meaner to Joe Biden and then meaner to Kamala Harris? And come on, if you want to be honest about it, Trump said some terrible, terrible things about Joe Biden, literally going back to the time that he fell off the bicycle, to his mental acuity, to the debate. Kamala Harris attacked her IQ, made mentions about her race. Let's stop the bullshit once and for all. All right? It was a ridiculous question. I can't believe that this is what's going on right now. We're in very, very important times, and nobody knows how it's going to play out. For all you know, Trump's picks, as odd, unusual as they are, could ultimately maybe break a broken system where things just don't get done because of bureaucracy, maybe. maybe it destroys everything. Who knows? You don't know. I don't know. They certainly don't know. We will all find out very, very soon because time will tell. So stay tuned. And as always, thanks for listening. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.